This is Casey Tucker with Molix Lures. We are an Italian lure company here in the U.S. now. Molix is making a full line of hard baits, soft plastic baits, and wire baits to suit every U.S. angler's needs. Molix's motto is think, feel, fish. It means every time Molix designs a new lure, they think how it can improve our skills, how the angler feels while fishing it, and how the fish react to it. The VS Crank 200 is a perfect example. They brought in an engineer from the automotive industry to actually use the resistance of water instead of the lip creating the action. This way, what happens now is at a straight retrieve, you are actually able to get this bait to swim in directional patterns they call the FPE, the fleeing prey effect. This particular bait, anyone can use. Just reel it in straight, very slow, and this bait will do wonders. The VS Crank 200 is one of many that Molix has reimagined for the angler. Now I'd like to hand it over to fishing pro Mike Iaconelli, who helped design a few of the wire baits for Molix in the US.
Hey folks, Mike Iaconelli. I'm here at the Mullets booth, and I want to talk to you a little bit about the baits we have here. You know, if you look in front of me, there's a lot of baits here, and we've designed a bait to cover every zone of the water column. That's important when you go out fishing. You know, you really want to think about fishing from the top to the bottom. So let's start with the top. You know, it's one of my favorite ways to fish is attracting fish to a surface strike. And we designed a lure from Molix called the Mullet Lover Buzz. And if you look at it, it's kind of a unique buzz bait. You know, most buzz baits on the market have a safety pin design, but on the Mullet Lover Buzz, we did an inline design, and we did that to keep this bait on the top, to make it ride high on every cast. The other thing we did with this bait is we created a blade that has a lot of squeak and squeal. You know, when you're topwater fishing in any water clarity condition, that sound, that squeak or that squeal is what's key to getting those fish to bite. You add to that a very realistic baitfish head, a super sharp hook, and then finally a little weed guard on the eye, and you've got one of the best buzz baits I ever fished. You know, the next one is in the middle of the water column. When those fish are horizontal, suspended fish, they're around trees or docks or brush, I want a bait that's going to be fished in the middle. One of my favorites by Molix is the spinnerbait line, you know, and there's 3 different spinnerbaits I fish, depending on the conditions. You know, the first one I go to when the fish are biting, when the fish are active, and you want a little bit bigger bait, you want to imitate a bigger bait fish profile, I'm going to go to the Mullet Inator spinnerbait. And if you look at it, it's got a special design to it that's going to help this spinnerbait do something that no other spinnerbait does. So if you look at it, realistic baitfish head, beautiful blades, but here's the key. Watch as I turn that head, and you're going to see a very flat surface on the backside of that head. And what that flat surface is going to do is, as you reel it horizontally through the water column, that bait is going to shake side to side. Most spinnerbaits, when you reel them, they come straight through. But this one, because of that flat head, is actually going to shake and shimmy. And that's going to trigger those fish to bite. So if the bait's big, if the fish are biting, I go with the Inator by Molix. You know, when things get tough, the conditions get a little harder, the bait's a little bit smaller, I'm going to go to a little bit more compact spinnerbait, and I'm going to go to the Molix Water Slash. As we turn it, you're going to see that same feature again. You're going to see that flat surface on that head. And when you reel that, it's going to have that same shimmy, and that's what's going to be the trigger to getting those fish to bite. Now here's the one that really makes me excited. It's a brand new Molix spinnerbait called the FS series spinnerbait. And the FS stands for finesse. And when things get ultra tough, cold front comes through, there's 20 boats in front of you, or when your forage is really small, you have to imitate small forage, I'm going to go to the FS spinnerbait. I'm going to mimic that small forage. When things get tough, this is the one I'm going to go to. All right, I saved the best for last. Now we're going to talk about fishing the bottom. When those fish are relating to the bottom, right on the bottom, on the zone of the bottom, I'm going to go to something I'm real fond of, and it's a bait we designed called the Lover. And we designed the Lover because simply, bass love this thing. And if you look at it, it's kind of an interesting bait. And it's a vibrating jig design, but unlike traditional vibrating jigs, we've got a reverse shovel lip on this lever. And what that thing's going to do is that's going to put out vibration on this bait that's unbelievable. So when you throw that bait out there, as that water hits that big reverse shovel lip, it's going to make that bait shimmy and shake side to side. And you're going to feel that in your rod tip. It's got rattles in it. We have it in two versions. We have a treble hook version for open water situations, and then we've got a single hooked version which has a keeper barb on it, and that's for situations where you want to add a plastic trailer to it. You want to make it weedless, or you want to make the profile of the bait bigger. For those fish that are near the bottom, cast this thing out and use a feathering technique. And what that means is you cast it out, let it sink down to the bottom, and when it hits the bottom or gets near the bottom, use your rod and your reel and lift the bait. And every time you lift it, you're going to feel that vibration as it comes up, and it's going to fall back down. If you like fishing, if you want to cover all the zones from top to the middle and then finally to the bottom, check out the Molix line of baits. I guarantee you're going to catch more fish.
Thanks, Mike. And remember, folks, think, feel, fish. Enjoy Molix, enjoy your life, and respect the environment around you.